Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Wow, this is a big space. I can see you all the way in the back. Wave. All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Rod Bigelow. I'm the Executive Director of Crystal Bridges, and it's a joy to have you all join us tonight in this space of friends and members and guests and community members. It promises to be an inspiring event. Tonight is especially meaningful because it is our first conversation in the new Heartland Whole Health Institute. How do you like it? I'm glad we're here because about 3 times as many people can join us for this talk than we can do at Crystal Bridges. So it's an exciting thing to celebrate getting the game. From basketball to surfing to bicycling to boxing gloves, this exhibition explores sports in all their glory and complexity, highlighting the ways of that they are brilliant, disciplined, powerful, and recognizes the sacrifice of athletes that have inspired and driven artistic and technology through the eyes of artists. This exhibition brings to light moments in history that are sports focused and brings the human facets and that experience together. Sports, like the arts, bring together communities of devoted fans in shared experiences, and we welcome you to experience sports in an all-new way through those eyes of the artists. Exhibitions and programs like this are possible only due to the generosity of our members. Raise your hand if you're a member. Let's hear it for y'all. Woo, that's great. Oh, come on, let's hear it for our members. I want to hear it from the original members. Those are members that have been here since 11/11/11, supporting us through the entire journey. So thank you to our members, our partners, and especially the national tour sponsor of Getting the Game, Bank of America. We are so grateful. Bank of America's commitment to the arts ensures that experiences like tonight reach far and wide, and we're thrilled to have the team from Bank of America with us tonight. And it takes an entire village to bring together exhibitions like that. So tonight we're going to thank many, many supporters and sponsors of Getting the Game that have helped make this exhibition possible. So please cheer for everyone. And there's a lot of them, which is I'm really excited about. The Coca-Cola Company, Stout Executive Search, Shelby and Frederick Gans, Scholastic, Surfco, Blakeman's Fine Jewelry, Tony Waller, Willie and Brenda Godwin, Donna McMcClarty, the Northwest Arkansas Naturals, Sue and Charles Redfield, Marshall and Beth Saviors, Jim Smith and Rebecca Hurst, Smith Hurst PLC, Jim and Susan Von Grimp, Deborah Wright, and Jennifer and Hunter Urachek. Let's give them all a big round of applause. And we are also grateful to those sponsors that have supported the talk and lecture series at Crystal Bridges, bringing you amazing personalities from around the country and the world. Cadillac of Bentonville, Superior Auto Group. Cheer. Andrea Albright and Patrick Bannon. Stella Boyle Smith Trust, Kathy and Mike Nathan. And Demra Teitzer. Please give them all a round of applause. And we are really excited to have former Governor Asa Hutchinson and First Lady Susan here with us tonight. And Arkansas's own Attorney General Tim Griffin. Thank you for being here. And as always, thank you to Arkansas PBS for accompanying this lecture tonight so it can be seen throughout all of Arkansas and beyond. Thank you, PBS. Tonight is our official kickoff for the exhibition, and Saturday, I want you to all come back to Crystal Bridges because we are having everything from mobile golf simulators to we're actually going to let you fish in our pond. It's the only day ever that you can fish in our pond. I promise to tell you, security will tackle you if you fish any other day. But it's all free. It's all for you, and it's going to be an amazing experience. So please come Saturday. To introduce our speaker tonight, I am proud to welcome Katie Knox, President of Bank of America Private Bank and a member of the company's executive management team. Katie is a passionate advocate for diversity, mentorship, and women's leadership worldwide, serving on boards such as Women's Sports Foundation and Carnegie Hall. Katie and her team have been extraordinary partners for Crystal Bridges for many, many years, and we are grateful for their ongoing support. Katie?
All righty. Well, good evening, and thank you, Rod. Very nice introduction. It is a privilege to be with you tonight to celebrate the opening of Get in the Game. Let me first begin by extending a heartfelt thanks to Alice Walton and Olivia Walton for welcoming us all into this extraordinary space. We've had a wonderful 10-year partnership with Crystal Bridges, supporting exhibitions that create challenging perspectives and also spark conversation. It's a relationship that has been rooted in shared values and one that we're very proud to continue for many years to come. We are also very honored to serve as the national tour sponsor for Get in the Game. Through partnerships with Crystal Bridges and really museums all over the world, we remain committed to building vibrant communities, providing access to art, and also preserving important works. We believe strongly in supporting people that are striving towards their goals, whether those goals are on the canvas, on the stage, in business, or on the field. That's why we see exhibitions like Get in the Game not just as art, but as a celebration of human ambition, creativity, and perseverance. Which brings me to our special guests for tonight. First, Mia Hamm. Mia is widely recognized as one of the greatest athletes of our time, transforming women's soccer and inspiring generations. From her collegiate career at UNC, leading the Tar Heels to 4 consecutive NCAA championships, and yeah, go Heels! And to her leadership on the U.S. women's national team, winning 2 World Cups and 2 gold medals. I think you agree that Mia's legacy is unmatched, and her impact extends well beyond the pitch. In 1997, she founded the Mia Hamm Foundation in honor of her brother, who passed away from a rare blood disease. The foundation advances opportunities for young women in sports and raises awareness for bone marrow and cord blood transplants. Through her philanthropy and her leadership, including her role as part owner of Angel City FC and the Los Angeles Football Club, Mia's story shows us that sports is about more than medals. It's about inspiring the next generation, breaking barriers, and building community. Joining me tonight is Steve Nelson. Steve is a visionary entrepreneur and investor whose career spans technology, venture capital, and healthcare. He is co-founder and CEO of Carbon Inc., a groundbreaking 3D printing company, and co-founder of Re-Inc., a global lifestyle brand created with 3 other World Cup champions. Steve also has served as chairman of Blue Cross Blue Shield for North Carolina and held senior roles at IBM and the Wakefield Group. He serves as a founding advisor of the Heartland Whole Health Institute and the Alice L. Walton School of Medicine. As we begin tonight's conversation, I hope you'll reflect on the beauty of the artwork around us and how art and sport challenge us, connect us, and inspire us to dream bigger. Please join me in welcoming Mia Hamm and Steve Nelson. Go get them.
Steve and I always start with a duet.
Right.
You ready?
This is going to be amazing. Mia's a dear friend, and it's not often you get a chance to have a dear and treasured friend that you get a chance to celebrate what she's been all about since I've known her, and that's going back some 15 years. Whether you call her a treasure, an icon, a legend, or a GOAT, the greatest of all time, that's really what they say. But might her impact have been stronger and bigger in other walks of life? The fight for fair pay, the role model to young women, what she has done with her foundation, and we'll get into some of these things. But not often do you get a chance to meet and know somebody where you're actually talking to the person that is the greatest of all time at what they do. So do we have something to learn from the greatest of all time at what they do? I think we might. And Mia's been a dear friend for a long period of time, so I'm really excited about the conversation. Why don't we start and go all the way back, because we have a lot of folks that want to learn from you. Tell us, if you would, about your childhood. And how did it come to shape you who you were to become as a person? I mean, how did that happen?
I feel like I need a couch right now or something. I was born in Selma, Alabama in 1972. My dad was a pilot in the Air Force and was in flight school. Growing up and being born there shaped my life tremendously because it shaped my parents' life. They were there 1968 to 1972. So a lot was going on in the South back then. And it changed the way my parents saw the world. And that incorporated and changed their values and how they brought up all their kids. I was the third of the girls. And when I was about 5 years old, my parents adopted two boys. My older brother, Garrett, who was part Thai, part Caucasian, and my brother, Martin, who was black. And that was our family. And that really shaped who I am today and how I see the world because of the influence of my parents and the meaning of family and how we all took care of each other. And that extended to our neighbors, that extended to volunteering on weekends at different events, and understanding that we're only as strong as we're willing to help each other out. And so from a very young age, I understood the importance of team and family. I had a lot of chores growing up. My dad loved to print them out from his Commodore 64 and put them up on the fridge, and you knew what your responsibilities were for the week. And the worst day is if you had to sweep the kitchen and you didn't do a good job. My mom loved to walk around barefoot. And the next morning at breakfast, you would get a really nice plate of whatever she swept up to remind you to do a much better job the next time. But it was usually because you didn't do a great job and she walked right through it. So, but I was I looked up to my older brother Garrett ever since I can remember. He was an incredible athlete, and I even had the same haircut that he did, which was super cool, by the way. But he inspired me athletically and really allowed me to excel at a young age because I was always able to play up. And, until he got really sick, he was by far the best athlete in the family. And because of, he won't say this, but of his generosity and letting me hang out with him, it really excelled my athletic kind of prowess. And also back then in the 70s and 80s, to have your brother say, hey, it's okay to want to win and teach me how to compete. It really helped make me the athlete that I became.
How about specifically from your parents? Do you remember things that they told you you needed to be or become or focus on or anything like that?
I think it was more of what they didn't say. They never said we couldn't do anything. Like I said, they had 4 girls. Whatever we dreamed of being, they encouraged us to go after it. So it wasn't like you had to be specifically in a certain role, or girls don't really do that. It was like, go after it. If that's what pulls at your heartstrings, then go for it. We also had to show commitment to it. And I think that was just at the time growing up. My dad, like I said, he worked at the base till 5, 6 o'clock. He would try to coach one of our teams because there were 4 of us playing. So every year it would be a different, member of the family he would coach. But there were times I had to get myself to practice. I had to ride my bike 3 miles to get myself there. It wasn't, you couldn't just it couldn't be rhetoric. You couldn't just say, yeah, I want to play. It's like, no, you had to commit to it. And it's okay if the following year you didn't want to do it. But if he signed you up, you had to be all in. And so I learned at a very young age just to be committed. But I think the thing they instilled in me, and they still do to this day, is they volunteer. And just helping us understand that there is always someone in need of, whether it's time or assistance or, a pat on the back, just understanding the situation we're in. There is always someone who could use some help. And that I've been able to share that with my kids, which I am so grateful for. Them being role models for all of us in that way.
Did you feel like you explored all your interests to find your passions? Ultimately, obviously, you became this world-famous soccer player, but how did you think about exploring interests to find the passions that you wanted to spend your time and energy on?
I think, I don't think they ever, whether it was financial means, that's probably one way that I was limited. I wasn't traveling all over the world or the U.S. to play soccer, but soccer really wasn't like that when I was growing up. But I always felt supported. Our family got what we needed. We didn't always get what we wanted. And if we wanted something, we had, if I wanted another pair of cleats and I already had a pair of cleats, or I wanted a soccer ball, I had to pay at least half. That was kind of the deal. So whether it was saving up your allowance, or I had a paper route, which was awful, by the way. But I had a paper route, and, because I was at the age 5th, 6th grade where I wanted more stuff. But it taught me, I took care of all my cleats. I took care of my soccer ball, because, as I said earlier, I was invested in it. And I remember when I made the national team at a young age and I got my first pair of cleats, I was like, oh my gosh, I cleaned those after every practice, made sure I put mink oil on them. But I'm grateful for the lessons and the modeling from my parents and how to be respectful to others.
Mia, by the way, was the youngest person to ever get called into to play for the U.S. national team. So at age 15, she was called to play on the full national team. We didn't mention the fact that in addition to the 2 World Cups, the 2 Olympic gold medals, the most goals in history, 158 goals,
Not
the
anymore.
most assists.
Not anymore.
Okay, at the time, sorry, in history.
Christine St. Clair, she blew that away.
Okay,
but
so
I'll take assist or points. I'll
Well,
take that.
all she got was 158 goals for our country and was 5 times named the best player in our country.
Thank you.
By the way, was the FIFA World Player of the Year twice, was the ESPN ESPY's Athlete of the Year for Women twice, and a place called ESPN named her the greatest and most important female athlete in our country, greatest and most important in the last 40 years. So that is our Mia that's sitting here in front of you. And she's always so humble, which is what I adore about her, the opposite of telling you how great she is. So let me ask you this. Did you try to be great as measured against others or just try to be the best you could be? A lot of people, did you try to be great or just be the best you could be?
Just checking to see if any of my sisters are here. Because they'd stand up and be like, oh my God. Yes, I did. And to the point where I annoyed my siblings a lot. I hated to lose, and I would quit if I thought I was going to lose because the thought of losing was too much to deal with. But I didn't have a lot of skills as a young child outside of my athletic ability. But I loved the adrenaline rush of competing, and everything I did, I wanted to be the best at. And so.
The best you could be or better than everybody else? Yes.
The answer is yes. No, and I think at a young age you're not really, you don't sit there and go, well, let me analyze this. Like, I can really improve this skill, or what are my strengths as a player? I should focus on those. And I have other teammates who are really good at whether it's playmaking or set plays or free kicks, that I can focus on this. But when you're young, it's survival of the fittest. You're like, I want to be the best at math races. Remember the math races you do on the board? I was like, I have to be the best. I had to be the best speller. I had to write the best essay in class. That's the way I was wired. And I realized that it wasn't normal as I got older, but that was okay. And that I probably lost some friends because I was so intense. But I learned how to manage it as I got older. Because you start being surrounded by incredible people who you realize that they are much better in certain environments than you are. And as a teammate, as a friend, it's important to let them shine, and they will do the same for you. So I think that growth probably happened halfway through college, to be honest with you. And obviously with the national team just kind of extended to that. But what I learned in that kind of process and realization is I became happier. I became a better teammate. I became a better player because I realized that my strengths were unique from one of my teammates, and so were theirs. And that our job as teammates is to lift each other up and not get in each other's way. And so I think it really allowed me to perform at a higher level once I understood that.
Well, on purpose, I asked you to try to be great as measured by others or just the best you can be, because there was this iconic I'll say, TV ad before that made it suggest that she was trying to be better than everybody else. Could we maybe
Michael
run that?
who?
All right, Mia. They often say he's the Michael Jordan of whatever, and now here she's taking down the Michael Jordan
Yeah.
as the greatest. How do you reflect back to the career you've had when somebody says you're the best, the greatest, or most important female athlete in our country in 40 years, a place called ESPN? How do you reflect on that?
I don't know. I get a little uncomfortable. One, because I think of the teammates I was able to play with, but also the female athletes I was able to and grew up watching and, cheered for, Jackie Joyner Kersey, Billie Jean King. I mean, none of us would be here without Billie Jean King. She was such a mentor for our team in our equal pay kind of fight. And, Chris Everett, I remember watching her. Just side note, I went to an event and I got to hit tennis balls with her. And I was like, this is just unbelievable. I'm hitting tennis balls with Chris Everett. But at the same time, it gave me an opportunity to celebrate my teammates and talk about them. Because when you're in a team game, like, I didn't do everything on the field. I didn't keep the ball out of the back of the net. I didn't score all the time. I wasn't the playmaker hardly ever. But there's a lot that goes into it. And to be able to use the platform to talk about them made it a little bit easier, I think. And that's how I embraced it. Because it does get a little, uncomfortable when they want to single you out in such, there's 10 other players on the team, and then the importance of the players on the bench, the quality of humans and the respect that you have for each other is priceless. So I am so grateful to be able to have been on the teams and played with some amazing, not just players, but human beings.
Let's give some value and benefit to everybody here that, in theory, wants to be better at what they do. What does it take for someone to be the very best they can be, do you think, to maximize their human potential? You thought, I'm going to maximize what I am. What does it take?
I think, I look at the best teams and the best players, and it's, first of all, it's seeing value in yourself and what you bring. And I was lucky enough to have teammates that shared with me on a daily basis, like, this is why I love having you on this team. This is what makes us great when you are here. And I love it. Like, there were times I'd have conversations with the referee, and we usually would have disagreements on whether one was a foul or wasn't a foul. But, there was a time I thought that was taking away from my teammates. And actually, one of them came up and said, no, I love it because it fires me up. It's like, you're fighting for all of us when you're talking to the referee. Like, listen. And I was like, okay, thank you for that. But I think it's knowing your value, but it's also being selfless, like that you are all in to your development, but the development of every single person that's around you. Like, I'm lucky enough to do a camp with 3 of my former national team teammates, and we share with the young players we get to coach, like, you show up, and energy is so important. The energy you give off is so important. The energy, and just you making the decision to show up and try to get better. Like the energy, the effort you bring, and the attitude that you have on the field. Like those are the controllables every single day. And we're going to give that to you, and we're going to ask that back from you. So that selflessness of saying, I'm going to give you everything I have because I care and love you. And they're doing the same for you. And when you're a part of an environment like that, it is so powerful. Like you feel invincible. And the teams that I got to play on that were successful, every single day you felt that. Like, do you need help? You need my face? I can unlock it.
So here's a question a lot of people think about in different walks of life. Do you focus on just doing the very best you can do? This is the process. This is the preparation. This is training. Yeah. And let the results just take care of themselves? Or do you focus on results? For example, on winning the game, making the penalty kick, the whole idea of focusing on results, or do what I do and let the results take care of themselves.
I mean, that wanting the result is a given. Like I think especially at certain levels, I didn't play in the Olympics to be like, oh, let's see how it goes. Like especially when you know what the talent is on your team and the expectations. But I think sometimes, sorry, go back to that question.
Well, a little bit on also like on a penalty kick or results preparation. How much of it is do what you do and let the results take care of themselves? Like, do you try to make the PK? Or do you
you try to make the PK.
Just put a good kick on it, so to speak.
No, well, I mean, you practice that if you, I mean, the goalkeeper might make a save, but the percentages tell you should score. Like, but if you hit it where you're supposed to and where you practice, it's in your favor. But things happen all the time. And you can't focus on that. Like you have to just, your preparation gives you confidence for when you step onto the field. It doesn't guarantee you anything, but the countless hours of practice, the sprints you run, that's so when you step into the arena, you know that you've done the work. Now it's just about enjoying the experience and going after it. Soccer is so different than a lot of other sports where you can dominate for 89 minutes and the other team get the ball and you can lose 1-0. Like that's what makes it so frustrating, but so wonderful is that other teams have a chance, and you have to be invested every single minute of every single game, and it's why they call it the beautiful game. Can drive you crazy, but.
How about for big moments in sports and life? A lot of talk now about the role of visualization, mental routines, breathing. How did you think about that? The big moments coming up, what did you do?
I mean, when I was playing on the team, 96, we got our mental skills coach, so our sports psychologist. But we were one of the first teams in women's soccer to actually incorporate one. And I think what was really great, her name's Dr. Colleen Hacker. She's at Pacific Lutheran. And is finding what works for you. Some people self-talk works. That wasn't really me. I was usually negative talk on the field. Like, what was that? I don't know. But I think it was trying to find which of these skills, these mental skills, really worked for you and enabled you to, whether it was deal with success, deal with failure, be hyper focused in really intense moments. So for me, visualization was really good. And one of the things she did was put little, for all the kids, a VHS tape together. 99 we had a disc, but we had VHS tapes going into 95, 96, and you saw yourself being successful. And then there were times where she would cut the clip and you had to visualize actually how it played out. And that for me was really helpful, because I not only thought about how it ended, but I also saw myself in that space and time, and what my body was doing and how I could make adjustments going forward. It's like, oh yeah, I remember I slipped, but this is why I slipped. So next time I can adjust myself better. Like, all these things happen.
If you look on the internet under the quote, vision of a champion, it talks about the vision of a champion is someone who is bent over, drenched in sweat, at the point of exhaustion when nobody else is looking. That was the induction speech that her coach made for her joining the Soccer Hall of Fame. What was it about training sessions? Didn't matter whether there was presence of other unseen moments of hard work and sacrifice. You were famous for the work you would put in off season, even though you had won at UNC 3 national championships, and now you're off season and they're seeing you working out on your own off season in the cold.
Because the standard is the standard. And that's what our team was about. It was about a standard. And I knew every single person was doing it. And who was I not to do it? I think we always talked about on the national team, once you got out of college, we didn't have a league to play in. So it was imperative that we did as much as we could on our own to maintain the standard. And at the very least, you could be fit. And so when Anson stopped by, I was doing fitness on my own. And we always usually do 10 sprints in this series. No one would have known if I had done 7. No one would have known if I had come across the line at 37 instead of 35 seconds. But I would have known. And that's who it should matter most to, first and foremost. But the reason why it mattered so much to me was because I knew that Carla Overbeck wasn't doing 7, she was doing 10. I knew Christine Lilly was crossing at 34 and not 37. And if I cared about them, I was going to do it. And I did. And so that to me, when we talk about the standard, that's the standard. And for some people, it was really hard to grasp. And when I was a young player, I didn't get it. And it took me some time. And once you got it, you're like, this is why we're great. This is what makes us great. But yeah.
Mia was honored by being asked to give the commencement address.
Is that
at
what
UNC.
we're calling it? We're honored to give commencement. No, it's fine.
I know she panicked because I saw her before that. Honored and humbled, and why me? She gave the commencement address to 8,000 students in May, was asked by her school 30 years later. By the way, UNC, where she went, has now won 23 national championships, and the second most is 4. You think she maybe kind of set the bar a little bit? What did you learn from our legendary coach and your dear friend, Anson Dorrance? And then I'm going to segue into a little bit of what you shared with the students as well.
I'm one and done with commencement speeches, by the way. Well, one of the things I learned at Carolina and under Anson and Bill Palladino, his longtime assistant, was I deserved to know how good I could be. Like, that's the environment they set up for the players every single day. Was, aren't you the least bit curious on how good you can be? I will give you all my knowledge, but you have to make the choice to show up every day and commit to that. And at a time in the late 80s where, and especially as a young girl, one of the things I heard a lot was, don't try so hard. Why do you care so much? I was like, that's weird. They're not saying that to my brother, but they're saying it to me. And to go to a program that reinforced excellence and reinforced you in believing in yourself and wanting to be as good as you possibly could be, that was refreshing. And that's why I loved it, because every single day I got to practice, I was challenged. I was put outside my comfort zone. There were days in practices where I could tell a training was for me because I didn't do something very well in a game. But I that's what I learned at Carolina, was how to compete and to not be afraid to wanting to be the best I could possibly be. Like, you should, that's where you want to be.
Mia moved back to Chapel Hill for 18 months in the kind of 2010, 12 area. And she would be part of a Monday, Wednesday, Friday workout group that somehow Lucky Me became part of as well. With the 99ers, the coaches, and I was invited to be part of that. So we would work out together 11 to 12 and then have lunch like 3 days a week for a year and a half.
We would play for the tie, so we would work out so then we could eat lunch.
But here's a story that I'll remember that you won't remember. So it would be the fall of 2011. UNC was having trouble scoring goals. They would be 0-0 late in the game, barely scratch out wins, and they were really having trouble scoring. So Mia, by the way, was easily 8 months pregnant with her soon-to-be son, Garrett. So this is like in November.
Yep.
And they had lost a bunch of games, or just everything was too close. So the coaches put up those metal soccer defenders, those mannequin-like training things, and put 6 or 8 of those. And Mia was sitting on the sideline on her rear end with cleats in her hand, and they called her in. She laced up, pregnant out 8 months, at around the 22-yard line, 2 amazing deft touches, a ripping bender upper V score, go back to the sidelines. I'll never forget that. Do you remember that?
I do, because Crystal Dunn was like, oh, man. And I hit 2. I actually hit 1 with my right foot.
Okay, I don't remember
that. And then
that.
I turned around and I hit one with my left foot, and she's like, seriously.
But I mean, she was like,
I was
perfect.
Very pregnant.
You were very pregnant. At least 8 months, right?
Yeah, there were 2 of us, so everyone said it wasn't fair.
Let's talk. Everybody wants to be on a great team, institution, company, what have you. What are the unique characteristics, in your view, in your experience, of the very best of the best iconic championship teams you've been part of? What makes them special?
Yeah, talked about it earlier. It's being selfless. Like, I think a lot of the times people go into situations and they start calculating what's in it for me. I mean, you should already know why you're doing this. Like, that conversation should have happened, months, years before. Like, for me, I loved what athletics, what soccer in particular, asked of me every single day. And it wasn't the same thing. But it definitely asked me to show up. And, the best teams are the ones that say, what can I do for you? How can I make you better? And they're always thinking of the collective. And when you do that, when you are thinking of each other, it doesn't mean that certain people don't step up and carry a little bit more of the weight in certain environments. But you all are accepting of the role you have to play, and you embrace it fully. And you figure out, no matter what, Like, I'm going to help you. And when I think about the teams that, like 96 Olympics, Tiffany Roberts, she is now the coach at University of Central Florida. We don't win the Olympics without Tiffany Roberts. She played one game. She played our semifinal game and was asked to mark Norway's best player, their central midfielder, Hege Riise, who's just ridiculous on the ball. I didn't even remember Hege being on the field because TR did such an incredible job. She could have gone to Tony and said, hey, Tony, like, I came through. I should probably start in the final. She didn't start in the final. And there was no one cheering louder for us. Every time we came off the field, high fives, I could hear her. We win because of Tiffany Roberts. 1999, Tisha Venturini Hoke. She went from a starter to a reserve. Tony pulled her aside and said, going into this tournament, this is what I need from you. You are the captain of the reserves. She's like, I'm in. I'll do whatever you need. It was okay. You make sure that there's no dissension because we're all competitors. Everyone wants to play. And then when you're in tournaments like that, you have families that travel. And families travel, and what do they want to see? Their kid on the field, right? So then you're dealing with, hey, are you going to get to play? We've traveled all this way. It's like, Tish was like, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter who plays, whether you see a minute, no minutes, every single minute of every single game, you're important to this team. We don't win the 99 World Cup without Tisha Venturini, without her commitment and the leadership role she played with our reserves. Like, those are championship teams when everyone is more worried about the collective success than their individual success. Because that will happen. If we do what we're supposed to do, people will see you. But if you're so worried about what's in it to you, you will miss the greatest part of being on a team, is the power of the collective.
I love that. Isn't that great? Wow. Wow. And we're all trying to be better leaders, the best leaders we can be. Let's ask the same question, not about teams, but what are the unique characteristics of the very best of the best iconic leaders that have been part of your journey? Describe them.
I think, I look at Julie Foudy and Carla Overbeck. They were our longtime captains. Just the insight that they have, I think, is one thing. The patience. Lord knows I did not have the patience that they do. But their willingness to connect with people. And that takes time. That takes patience. You have to be sincere about doing that. Like, it's really easy when, we would go into our meal rooms and usually had an 8-top table. At some hotel, you go into a small ballroom, and it was really easy just to go to sit with the same people every time. Leadership doesn't do that. And that's where you get to know each other is after, breakfast or after lunch, where, you're after training and you sit there for a while, and leadership gets to know who you are, what motivates you, what makes you unique. And I think the ability and the patience and the insight to do that and to be genuine about it is what makes incredible leaders, because they will find out what your strengths are and they will pull the best out of you. And the only way you know that is by being attentive, but taking the time to know who the people are.
Mia, you've been celebrated as a leader on and off the field. What were the hardest lessons you learned about that, and how did you develop your own style versus following somebody else's approach?
Well, the hardest part was usually what happens is you want to incorporate all the incredible leadership styles and skills of the people you admire. And that was not how I led. And I think in my young career, I didn't know how to lead because I thought, oh, a leader, yells a lot. No, that's not really what people didn't listen to me. I had to learn my style through trial and error, but the greatest thing was actually I was sitting in a panel like this with some of my teammates, and Julie Foudy was up there, and I did a lot of interviews and I talked a lot about my team, and I genuinely felt the way that I would express in interviews. And one of the things Jules said up on the dais one time was, she goes, do you know how when you have Mia, one of the best players in the world, talk about how much she loves being on a team and how much she's committed to being a team player, she goes, do you know how much easier that is for us as leadership to tell a young player, yeah, this is how we do it, when she does it this way, when this is how she talks about her teammates and her responsibilities of being on this team. She goes, it eliminates all the prima donnas that think that, who come onto the team saying, yeah, just wait till you watch me. It's like, we want you to be great, but we also want you to apply to the standard, and these are the standards that we have. So I'm grateful for Jules and Carla who shared that with me, because I had some dark days of going, why isn't anyone listening to me? It's like, because that's not how I lead. That's not who they want to follow. And so I think finding your leadership skills and finding your way is a personal journey, but you can also use people that care about you. Ask them, what do you see in me as a leader? What sets me apart? And be open to hearing it.
Let's transition a bit to the cultural impact you've had. Some folks know about Title IX, but the gender equality across sporting lines, business, and life, you were such an early proponent of that. Tell us more about that, what and why you got involved in that fight for fairness.
Well, it was kind of forced onto us, and we were just trying to not sit in the smoking section on flights. We were trying to be able to keep a jersey after we represented our country. We would see the men's players exchanging jerseys after the game with whoever they competed, and we're like, oh, are we allowed to exchange our jerseys? And they're like, nope. We're like, we're not? No. And then we find out that 96 Olympics, the men's got all these bonuses, and we would only get a small bonus, but only if we won a gold medal. We didn't get any bonuses outside of that. It was about us, for sure, but it was always about the future generation, because that's where the legacy continues, so that they don't have to fight the same battles that we were fighting, that it was a little bit easier for when they stepped onto the national team, whether it be goods or services or support. And our coaches were very receptive of that. Hey, listen, you have to fight for things like a staff. You need to increase your staff. That shouldn't be the players' fight. That should be the coaches' fight. And Tony was amazing. He was an amazing leader for us and understood how we could support each other. But it was really about bettering the game, and both for players that wore the USA jersey, but also for other national teams, because you saw the impact that happened in Germany and Norway and now England. Like the game is growing so fast that it's harder for these governing bodies to say no because they look so bad, but also so far behind the rest of the world in what's happening.
And I might give you a quick summary. So Mia being an active advisor and helper and role model from day one, going back to day one, named by the players as the founding advisor for this fight. They culminated in a $24 million settlement, back pay, a commitment going forward for the women to get paid equal to the men, equal distribution of prize money, on revenue sharing and World Cup prize money. It was a 6-year battle that was declared won a couple of years ago, and it's become the role model for gender equality and advocacy, not just in women's sports, but around the world. So how about to Mia and her team? $24 million back pay and a commitment going forward to be equal. I love that. Let's segue a little bit into health and wellness and include mental behavioral health. What do you think about addressing that? And even, mental behavioral health is a big opportunity, challenge, need in the world. How do you think about it?
I think it's so important. I think the scrutiny and the accessibility now with athletes creates so many more fans, but also brings the level of intensity or makes it that much more intense for them. And I think a lot of the times we tend to forget because it's someone on TV or, someone on, a social media channel that they're human. They have a lot of doubts at times. You don't know their full story as much as we think we claim they do. But, a lot of the times the difference at the highest level between success and failure is really, really small. And so you're constantly teetering on that edge of the quality of performance. And so I think a lot of athletes understand that in a way. And that's why they're always thinking about, our mental skills coach was the gift of the slight edge. Like, that is my job and role in your lives. It's the slightest of margins that win World Cups. It's the slightest of margins that win Olympic gold medals. And we have to figure out what that slightest margin is. And when you're competing at the highest level, it intensifies. And so I think it's really important. And then one of the things that makes us so great as a country is how competitive we are. But we're also reluctant to share information because we want to protect what we have. And that makes it very isolating at times. So I've learned so much in talking to athletes. Like, we did this event after 96, actually, going into 99 with a bunch of other women's Olympic gold medalists to share ideas. And the process was from, why are the Norwegians so good at Winter Olympics? One is because it's frozen half the time. But two, they will tell you that every single one of their athletes are mentor other athletes. Like, they bring them in. So even if you're at your prime, you're bringing in the young up-and-coming athletes and saying, this is everything I know. Where you can even watch, like, sports today, and there'll be athletes or commentators like, well, yeah, I didn't tell them everything. That would be stupid, wouldn't it? It's like, well, no. Like, you are who you are. Like, I want everything I know. Like when Abby Wambach came up, like I swear, and I've told her this, she lengthened my career by another 2 years because I felt my job was just to give her all the information that was inside my head. Like this is what I know about the game. This is what I've learned, playing for 16 plus years, and it's all yours. Like I won't really need it after I'm done. But I think having that sense of wanting that for other people, but the mental aspect of it is, it can be super intense. So, and life now for young kids, I mean, social media, I've got 3 kids. My kids don't listen to me. They come to me, but they care so much about what some nameless, faceless person is saying of who they should be and how they should look. That, mental health is very real. And it's it's like any other skill you take to the field, you have to train it and you have to take care of it.
Mia, related to that, in a world arguably obsessed a bit with recognition, social media, promotions, let me tell you the world how great I am. You have had a really low-key life with an amazing service, humility, courage, and I would say on social media, pretty low profile. I remember a magical birthday you had where somebody said, happy birthday to a soccer legend, 2-time World Cup champion, 2-time Olympic gold medalist, member of the Women's Hall of Fame. And you simply said, the coolest birthday shout out yet, thank you to the legend. Well, that was Billie Jean King. That was your response. I find it beautiful and classy, understated elegance, but are you on purpose not, how do you think about that?
Oh, I don't think, like, when I tweet something, I think I rewrite it 5 times. Because first of all, I'm like, okay, is the grammar correct? I need Grammarly for my tweets. No, I think, then I'm like, is this helpful? That's usually where it comes from. Does this help? Well, I'll retweet stuff if I think it's cool or like, hey, awesome. But I also, there are times I go back and forth whether I think it's important to put my 2 cents in. And then there are times that you let the situation kind of be what it is. Like I've learned, and I'm sure a lot of parents have learned, that there are times you just have to let it sit. Even though you really want to help your kid, like you just got to let them do it. You got to let it happen. You got to let them grow. It's not really optimal to put your 2 cents in. And I definitely, sorry, Governor, I don't talk about politics. I just don't. It's something I learned from my dad, even though he talks a lot more about politics now. But I remember as a young kid, I walked up to him after a presidential election and I said, who'd you vote for? And he looked at me and goes, that's none of your business. And I said, okay, thank you. But I think, it is a conscious thought. There are times I go, they don't really need to or want to hear from me. And other times I was like, I can't add anything to this environment.
Let's segue a bit to your amazing foundation, both the raising funds and awareness for families in need of a marrow or cord blood transplant, and then equally more opportunities for young women in sports. And I know these are of utmost importance in your life. Can you tell us about both?
Well, I wouldn't be here without sport in my life, and I wouldn't be here without the influence of my brother in my life. Like I said, growing up in the late 70s and early 80s and having a male advocate for me was huge. Like, he never made me feel weird or like abnormal that I like to kick butt on the field. Like, he encouraged it. He chose me on his teams. My mom would always say you were kind of his secret weapon. Everyone, his friends knew you were good, but it's like you'd go to a different side of the neighborhood and they'd be like, okay, yeah, you're going to take the girl? Great. And then I'd run past them and my brother would laugh. And then, when he got sick, I really took it upon myself to express the talent that he had and that time that we would share together. That was my opportunity to thank him, because he would never get to do that. Like, he would, after his senior year in high school, he could never go play football again without getting sick. He just didn't have the energy. Physically, the demands were too much, and I played for him. Like, I got to do that. And, we weren't a brother or sister that had deep conversations, but we knew we loved each other. And I showed that with the way I expressed myself on the soccer field. And, I knew he was incredibly proud of me. One of my lasting memories of my brother was 1996 Olympics. After the final game, of course, I got chosen for drug testing. So I didn't make it back to the kind of team party where we would meet the families. We competed at the University of Georgia. And I remember they said my brother had been standing out there as the different vans came in waiting for me. And so as soon as I got out of the van, he was standing there. And he just said how proud he was of me. And I took my medal off and got to put it around his neck, which was pretty freaking cool. But that just to see him light up with that experience, and he wasn't supposed to be able to kind of come and be a part of it because he had been so sick, and he did it. He was there for the tournament, and that was just unbelievable to be able to share that moment with him.
I love the fact that you're celebrating the lives too of bone marrow recipients and raising awareness.
Yeah.
That there can be matches and volunteers as well. That's a big part of what you're doing.
Yeah, we've done many marrow drives, and through several of our drives, we've been able to find matches, which anyone who has worked in that space or understands it, it's hard to do. And we've had handfuls of matches through our drives, which is, for our foundations, one of our proudest moments.
So how do you think about this? I'm going to have you reflect back again. There's a sportswear pioneer brand, became a cultural icon, arguably the leading sports brand in the world, maybe the best sports brand ever. There's a guy named Phil Knight that started that company. He said that there's only 3 athletes in history that have played at a level that added a new dimension to their games. This is the founder of Nike. And he said it was Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, and Mia Hamm. The largest building on the Nike campus is named after Mia.
Yeah.
How do you reflect on that?
I got a lot of
innovation building.
Yeah, R&D. I got a lot of grief from my teammates. They were there at the dedication, and they went around and started putting in the hotel room, like, Mia Hamm door, Mia Hamm toilet, Mia Hamm chair. So you want to know how I stay so humble? You just hang out with people like that. No, I was floored when they said that they were going to do that. And then I guess I'm a Nike athlete for good. But I think it says so much about where our sport has come, and female athletes have come. And, now you look around the campus and there's so many amazing female athletes whose names adorn. One quick funny story about that. The soccer people were taking me through the Mia Hamm building, and I got caught up in looking at the memorabilia. I didn't know my parents had all this stuff from when I was younger. Like my first jersey I'd ever played in was there, and they had all these photos. And they were going downstairs. The Nike people were going downstairs, and it was this back door. And so I finished looking, and the door closed. And so I just naturally walked over to go through the door. Well, all of a sudden, the security guy comes and goes, "I'm sorry, you don't have a badge." And this was before, I didn't have a cell phone, and it definitely didn't work in the R&D building. And I was like, okay. And behind him was this huge picture of me. So I go, "If you take the name on the outside of the building and you put it with that photo, will that do for a badge?" And he goes, "Oh my God. I am so sorry. Here, let me open the door for you." I was like, "No, this is top-notch security. Thank you." That's.
So I want to, as we're on the home stretch here, surprise Mia with some folks that have been impacted by her. I'm going to ask Rachel Horbert and Aaron McMunn to come up on stage, if you would. And Rachel, why don't we hear from you first, if that's okay?
Yeah. Mia.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh my God, I'm honored. I'm going to fangirl a little, and then I have a question for you.
Yes, please.
So, first, I have to say, you have been my hero since I was 5. I saw you at Soldier Field for the Women's World Cup, and you dominated the field. You taught me as a little girl that it was okay to be competitive. And do you remember your Got Milk ad?
Yes.
Yeah, I had that ripped out from a magazine on my wall. Would look at it before practice and ended up playing soccer in college and overseas. But there is this one quote that you have. It's, "What's worse than missing the shot is not pulling the trigger." And I've lived a lot of my life in that manner and in that mantra. And so I started a company. I'm now CEO of Hummel Health. We do AI and biometrics to prevent and predict addiction relapse. And so right now we're saving lives, including my sister's, and it's thanks to you, really. But I'm talking fast here. But my question for you is kind of two-part. When you kind of hit that struggle, you lose a loved one, you lose a game, how do you mentally reset to get back to your best? And on top of that, how do you lead a team member who might be at the lowest of the lows to get back to performing their best as well?
Well, the way I did was Garrett he wanted me to live. He wanted all of us to live our lives. But to be honest with you, I remember I had to miss some national team games, obviously, for his funeral and just to be with my family. And I remember the team had a game, and this was when it was I don't know what ESPN, Ocho, they were on. But I had, I graduated high school, and 2 days later, my parents moved to Italy for 6 years. So the people at UNC and people on the national team became my family. And then I pretty much lived on my own since then. So I turned on the TV to watch a game, and I see the team march out, and they're all wearing black armbands. And I was like, shoot. That's what helped me, is that they were saying, you're not alone. We are here for you. And I remember telling my parents, like, I have to get back to the team. And it was awesome. I got to play. I think we were playing North or South Korea. And I just remember, like, it was a rainy day in Wisconsin, and I scored a goal. And I just remember everyone just jumping on me. And you start to celebrate all the small things that you do. And I'm sorry, the second part of the question.
It was how to build
Lift up teammates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I owed it to them to show the gratitude that just that small gesture meant so much to me.
Fantastic, Mia.
Thank
And great question. Aaron McMunn, why don't you tell us a bit of your story, and you have a question.
I do. And first, I'll say I was so impressed that she did that without any note cards or anything. That was amazing. But hi, Mia. My name is Erin. First, I wanted to say thank you for the massive impact that you've had on my life.
Thank you.
I was fortunate enough to play lacrosse at Princeton and have an opportunity to win a gold with the U.S. national team, albeit in a very different sport. Play with some wonderful teammates and an incredible experience. But I can confidently say that that's not an experience I would have had without you and your example. I can't remember a time when I wasn't wanting to follow in your footsteps. And much like Rachel had posters all over my wall, your books on my nightstand. And you really did change the paradigm for me as a young girl. You taught all of us that grit and toughness and sacrifice was something for all of us, not just for the boys. So thank you for that example. You're one of the most impactful people, along with my parents, my coach, my high school coach, and you are still often the voice in my head that's pushing me to work harder. I was at a workout class last night. As just a quick anecdote. I'm sorry, I'll be quick, but it was the last 15 minutes. I'm out of shape, not at a spot where I'm pushing myself. I wanted to be done, and I just had the thought of, the goat's in town. She's probably watching right now. And so all of a sudden, this poor man next to me on the treadmill, I'm in a race for my life, and he has no idea. So aside from the thank you that I now owe you for the all-time high on my Orange Theory points yesterday, thank you. I just wish I had the words to articulate how meaningful your influence has been for me. So thank you. And with that, my question, which is probably actually 3 questions, so sorry in advance. Having the opportunity, thanks in large part to you, to compete at a high level added an immense amount of color and joy and vibrancy to my life. And I'm curious for you, what did that experience of being the best give to you? What else gives you color and joy? And as you think about your legacy, how would you articulate what you want it to be?
What gives me joy now is my family, but also being able to share my family with my teammates. I think it's really interesting when we all get together is the kids interact like they've known each other their whole lives because they've just heard stories about each other, about the parents. And I've learned so much about parenting through my teammates, like watching Joy Fawcett, watching Carla Overbeck, who were moms while they were still playing. I think, gosh, my brain is mush right now. What was the first part?
Kind of the color and joy.
Yeah.
And legacy.
The legacy, I would say, is, one of the things I tell other athletes when they ask me, like, what would your advice to me be? And I was like, you have to find your own way. You have to be you. Think rather than trying to be someone you're not, or trying to express yourself, or, when we were talking about social media, that's just not who I am. Like, I was the 3rd out of 4 daughters that were born, and then I was the 4th out of 6 kids. I was a wallflower. Like, I wasn't the loudest. I was the one that would just go off and do my thing and then come home and they'd be like, where were you? I'm like, oh, I was just out playing. But just, I think my legacy is hopefully elevating the game, but doing it my way. And I think being okay with that and having others be okay with that is really, really important to me.
Thank you. Thanks.
Fantastic. And we're on the last two questions. I'd like to get a sense of what advice you'd give to your younger self, your 17-year-old self. And I understand there's a soccer player in the room. Katie Heaney?
Katie?
Katie, do you mind coming up here, if you would? I'd like you to get some firsthand advice from the greatest of all time player.
Come here,
I know you're at the
Katie.
IMG Academy. Yeah. You obviously don't know that we were doing this, which is great.
No idea.
Hey, but you're being a good sport. Yeah. What would I tell my 17-year-old self? Is enjoy it. Like I was someone that was super intense, still am, and I wish I had taken a little bit more time to enjoy the journey. I mean, it did help me get to where I wanted to be, but I was so jealous of even in college where teammates were going out, I was like, yeah, I'm going back to the dorm. And it wasn't about like partying. It was about spending time and getting to know them off the field, which would have helped me connect better with them. I mean, since then, we're the best of friends, but really just about enjoying the process and being okay with mistakes. Like, we are not out here searching for perfection. None of us are. We're searching to find ways just to improve a little bit each and every day. And I tell my kids, like, one of the things we talked about, all you can do is the best you can do that day. And there are days where that level is going to be a 10 out of 10, and there are days it's going to be like a 5. And you have to be okay with that. You get to wake up the next day and try again and hope that it's a little bit better. But all you can do is the best that day. And just know that you're worth that investment.
Fantastic. Katie? Wait,
Katie.
Mia has something for you.
Oh,
You can't
wait,
leave.
Katie,
You
where
can't
you
leave.
going?
And by the way, it's in a Walmart bag. Sorry about that. But actually, I'm proud of that. Mia has a little something for Katie.
We found it in the back. All right, Katie.
It's a Nike Team USA 4 stars official U.S. jersey, Mia Hamm number 9, signed by Mia for Katie. You're very welcome. Okay, Mia, this is it. Last question.
Okay. I'm out of water, so thank you.
Of all the things we've talked about, of all the things you can reflect on, what are those 2 or 3 greatest life lessons, insights, learnings, wisdom you would want to share that you would want to say?
Thanks.
It's important. I just need to, almost in my last lecture way, I want to share this with all of us.
I think one is finding the joy. I mean, the things I talked about in the commencement speech, with especially having kids now, is there's this rush to kind of know how everything ends, how the story ends, how the movie ends. Am I going to be successful? But just really finding the joy in what you get to do every single day, big or small. And then the other is that life's like a collective journey. It's not solitary, even though there are moments that will be, and that you have to make hard decisions. But I know it doesn't feel that way sometimes in our world and in this country, but we really are so much better when we care about one another, when we're invested in each other's successes and stories and growth, and that, you know, if you are so concerned about checking boxes and making sure that you are the one that is most fulfilled with whatever you're committed to, you will lose the lessons. Like I am who I am because people thought of me before themselves. And it is imperative, and it's one of the things I talk to my kids about. Like, we are in a service business for others. Like, you will be so much more satisfied, you will grow, your life will be so much greater if that's the way you approach life, is waking up every day. Yes, invest in yourself, absolutely. But it's so much greater when we get to do it with others, and we get to try to bring them up, pick them up when they're down, or try to raise their level as we move through life.
I would like to ask if everybody would just quickly stand up, if they would, since we're at the end of our journey, Mia as well, to make this memorable for her, since she first of all, didn't need to be here, but wanted to be here, made this the choice even with her kids in college of the way she would spend her time, is here free of charge, and is taking the time to be with us.
Wait, we didn't talk about that, Steve. Just kidding. Just kidding.
I would like to remind everybody about the amazing facts that she's accomplished. The data, greatest of all time, legend, icon, GOAT, greatest of all time. And then the cultural impact she's had as well. Fight for fair pay. Look at the impact on young women. Why don't we raise both hands to Mia? And then, if we would, just thank her by bowing 3 times to
don't
her.
do that. No, thanks. Thank you. And I just want to say a special thank you to Steve. You know, as Steve said, we met 2011 in Chapel Hill in our lunch bunch. And what Steve's one of his greatest gifts is he connects people. And usually the people he connects are really, really amazing people. So I've been very fortunate, one, to be a friend, but just to be able to connect with so many amazing individuals. And I just want to thank Crystal Bridges. I want to thank Bank of America. Thank you to the Walton family, but obviously thank all of you who came out here tonight to be a part of this. I'm working on a little sleep. I don't know if you could tell, my brain would like freeze up at times, but so grateful and honored to be here. So,
how about a roar of applause?
Thank you, Steve, for the great questions. We really appreciate you being up here. I know there's one person in the crowd that actually played soccer against Mia in high school. Raise your hand if you're here. There she is. We want to know what it felt like playing against Mia at the end of this.
Where did you go to school? Where? I did. Oh, okay. Yes, she was.
She went speeding past you.
Sorry about that. We had a good team. We had a really good team in Lake Braddock. Listen, prior to that, I went to a Catholic school, and our team there was 35 people in my class. And our varsity team was 8 girls and 7 boys, and we got smoked a lot. So when I went to Northern Virginia, Lake Braddock, I think 10 out of the 11 starters went D1. We were pretty good. We won the state championship. So sorry.
This week we announced Crystal Bridges will open our expansion on June 6th and 7th. We're super excited about that. And the reason why we are expanding is that we can tell more stories about America. Mia's story is one of those things that inspire the entire country, have inspired all of us today. And thank you for being here. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you all for coming today.